My name is Denise Williams, and we are here to support your shift to making your financial table strong. And the 4 legs of this financial table is your income, your protection of loved ones, your long-term goals, and your mindset. For many of us, our small business is either a side hustle or our bread and butter. And a small business ownership can be lonely. And so it's always encouraged to be part of a group of like-minded individuals. So we are so pleased to put on the spotlight in this episode the small business sector. We are joined by Senator Norman Grant, first Vice President of the Small Business Association of Jamaica. Welcome, Senator Grant.
Thank you, Denise, and it's so great to be with you. And I want to salute all your viewers.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Now, Senator Grant also wears another hat. He's somebody in the coffee industry. And you'll stay tuned to another episode of Financially Focused to hear about that. But in this section, you're wearing the hat as the advocate, or one of the advocates for small businesses. Now, here's the thing. Senator Grant, you know the statistics, so we're not going to bore anybody with the numbers, but small businesses, they create jobs. From 70 to 95% of new jobs are with small businesses. The challenge, though, is that even though they produce more jobs than big business, they're not as productive. What are your views on that? I mean, how are you seeing productivity, and what can we do to be better?
Yes. Thank you, Dennis. I'd like to salute my president, President Reed, and the full executive, the new executive of the Small Business Association of Jamaica, which includes you as one of our vice presidents. The small business, I believe, is the engine of growth for the Jamaican economy. I don't think enough has been done to support small businesses. And that is one of the things that we are going to focus on in engaging the government, in lobbying, that's one, to bring about critical services and support to get the small businesses up. We're talking about, businesses with 1, 2, or 3 individuals. They are very informal, but I think if we can provide some structured support for these businesses, they can move the economy forward. There is a big focus on large business, and we do support that. But we need to find a way to move the small businesses into medium and larger size business. We're talking about, for example, loans. We need to find a way to provide our small businesses with affordable loans. And I'm not talking about 12, 13, and 14%. I'm talking about between 3 to 6%, because there they can use those loan funding to create other opportunities for the economy. You're talking agriculture. That's a business. But all our farmers, our 250,000 farmers, sometimes they are very informal. And if we have them structured into small business, which is one of the focus of the new executive of the SBAJ, we want to bring our farmers to the center of the economic activities where they can get incentive from government. We're talking about duty concessions. We're talking about putting them in a way where, for an extended period of time, for example, the egg farmers have been calling for the removal of GCT from table eggs. Some of those critical things that will give them cash flow to grow their business and create jobs. Look at retailing. It's a major trading activities that we have not given sufficient thought and support. And if we structure those small businesses, or iglas or retailers, You could bring them in the mainstream where they could certainly be a part of the formal economy and really had their significant value to the general economic development of Jamaica. So we are saying small business is the way to go.
Yes.
It's critical to economic development, and the Small Business Association, as we celebrate our 50th anniversary this year, we are going to be expanding our reach across Jamaica.
Yes.
Of course, we are centered into Kingston now at Trafalgar Road, but we are going to be looking to establish a number of our activities across Jamaica and really get persons, really get small business operators to become a formal member of the Small Business Association as we celebrate our 50th anniversary.
All right, so let's look at some more challenging areas, because you've touched on formal versus informality. You've looked at, waivers. Now, what about, I'm going to give you the three.
Yes.
And you tackle the three. One, there is a skill shortage from either the owners or the team they hire, okay? And this skill shortage comes up in terms of perhaps having a digital presence or customer support or attracting customers. Another challenge is access to financing, and you did touch on that in terms of getting funding down to the 3 to 6% range. But the other challenge is that we are very skewed to having collateral.
Right, sure.
And then the third is the regulatory environment. So that is the demands of the tax office and the Data Protection Act and the requirements of the Companies Office. So those are three challenges. What are your views on that?
Well, let's start with the shortage of skill. I think that the HRT needs to be engaged.
Right.
With a memorandum of understanding with the Small Business Association as it relates to skilled labor.
Okay.
Training is going to be fundamental, and training in all aspects of the small business value chain.
Right.
So I think that the HRT do have the capacity to train labor that will be required for the small businesses.
All right.
You can look to hire.
Yes.
Right, which is another option. But I think that within the current challenges, I think going and sitting down with the HRT is going to be one of the ways or the strategies to overcome that constraint.
All right.
The area of financing,
yes,
is one that continues to create a big constraint for growth.
Yes.
Right? It affects people in starting businesses as well.
Yes.
But that is compounded by the requirement of collateral.
That's right.
Because you have a great idea.
Yes.
You have a great product.
Yes.
But you need financing to back those two.
Yes.
And I think we need to get to a point where the ideas can be used as collateral if the government and the financial institutions is prepared to support that framework. Like in agriculture, we use sales contract as collateral.
Yes.
Where you have a commitment, and to the extent that there is a future cash flow that is going to be generated, you provide financing on the basis that when the cash flow is generated, that is paid to the financial institution as a part of the collateral arrangements. And so we need to kind of think out of the box.
Yes.
Where we can sit down with like an Exim Bank, right? Because you have like the Exim Bank that supports the tourism sector. You have the DBJ that supports the agricultural sector. I think we need to have one of those developmental banking that the government has vested interest to sit down with the stakeholders in the small business sector with the focus and the objective to drive growth and development in small businesses. And that is one of the out of the box that we'd like to think about and how we can execute that strategy as a part of the framework to grow and develop small businesses.
But the regulatory environment, that is where we get back to what you had said about formal versus informal. I mean, it's a lot of paperwork.
Oh, too much paperwork. I mean, we pay a lot of attention to regulation and regulating, and I think the focus need to shift to the developmental stage.
Yes.
So for example, one example that I'd like to, put forward, which I've advanced before, is the era of GCT. So you are not able to make your GCT returns because there's a cash flow problem. And the regulatory framework charges you a penalty on the GCT that you are not able to pay. So you are not able to pay it, and the penalty is 4, 5, I think 10 times the principal that is owed. While I think the focus should really be to work with the small businesses to work out a payment plan.
Okay.
Right? So I'm saying, so the focus of the regulating of small businesses is focused on punishing rather than creating a new lease on life.
Wow.
And I'm saying that that's where we need to go. I'm also of the view that we need to centralize the service to the small business sector.
Yes, like a one-stop shop.
A one-stop shop. You have to go to the company's office for that, then you have to go to the tax office. And it is spread all over the place, and we need to find a one-stop shop where we can add value to the development of the small business sector.
Thank you. Wow. So now we're going to do a little controversy. So where do you see opportunities for small businesses to create generational wealth in the fact that women see small businesses as for their family, and men, as research shows, see small business for themselves? So I'm throwing that one out to you.
Well, I'm not too sure where that philosophy comes from, but I think that a number of big businesses today start a small business.
Right.
And as a part of the strategies of the Small Business Association of Jamaica, what we want to do is to entrench that in the family, where male, female, offsprings can look to understand their ability and develop their ability into business transaction that not only benefit their generation, but is passed on to generations to come, which is a creation of generational wealth.
Right.
So we have grown, and we have been taught about, we need to go to school, get our examinations, succeed in our CXCs and university, and then we start in the field of employment, being an employee. But there's also our own intellectual ability that we can move into small businesses. And I think that, whether male or female, we need to move our thinking about creating long-term generational wealth by using our talents and our ability to create value, and for that value to live on while, be carried out by generations to come.
All right. Now, one of the lessons out of COVID was that a digital face and a digital place for your business is just as critical as a physical one.
Right.
Okay? What are your views on the framework for supporting small businesses to have that digital first mindset?
Yeah. So, well, COVID has really provided, a lot of opportunity for small businesses. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was a concept that to work you have to go to the office. Mm-hmm. The work from home, mm-hmm. and operating from this digital space has really been one of the tremendous benefit of COVID. But I think what we need to do now is to provide a framework for digital development and support for small businesses. You're talking about e-commerce, you're talking about website, you're talking about the social media, and a lot of that needs funding, right? As it relates to moving it from just the developmental stage to getting the products and the services out there. And that is something that the Small Business Association, we are going to be engaging, the government, we're going to be engaging service providers, because we think that this is a tremendous opportunity that can be tapped into, and we can capitalize on it, and we can really make small businesses grow to medium and large business over time.
But the digital first framework, it goes on a continuum. First, you have to have the sort of the idea.
Yes.
Then you need that website.
Yes.
But then you need the team to run it.
Yes.
And then you need perhaps order fulfillment.
Yes.
So there is the, Jamaica Business Development Corporation and such. But what would you say has been sort of because there's nothing to stop the man that's selling, coconuts on the street to have a Facebook page.
Right.
What do you think? Do you think we have a low trust? Do we still have a low trust for digital? Why it's not something that is like first and top of mind, you think?
No, I think it's a culture of the society. I think, the younger generations have caught on to it very quickly.
Yes.
And it's kind of dragging, the generations prior to that. Mm-hmm. But once you create this big wave and this culture,
yes,
of carrying your business and services via the digital platform, I think in another 10, 15 years, it's really going to be the way of the world. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying, that there's going to be a consciousness to develop that framework, right? So in particular, the business that exists now, those young ones that are coming on will see digital as the platform, yes, to transform your business after the process of development. And this is a framework for sure, mm-hmm, that the Small Business Association of Jamaica would like to be one of the platforms, one of the critical partners, yes, that create that opportunity and facilitate that framework to make it happen for small and medium-sized businesses.
But what do you think is the biggest shift? I mean, what would you like to see? Is it a cultural shift? Is it access to support? I mean, what is the shift that is needed? Because one of the most fundamental things, let's just get down to the bottom line. Small business need cash.
Yes.
Let's just stop playing.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
They need cash. In order to get cash, you're either going to go get customers,
right,
or you're going to get financing.
Right.
And many small businesses struggle with both.
Right.
What do you think is the secret sauce? What's missing at the level of cash?
Right. So I alluded to the need for a developmental fund.
Yes.
Similar to what obtains for the tourism sector.
Okay.
Similar to what obtains for the agriculture sector, even though I think more needs to be done for agriculture, but we can talk about that. But say, for example, let's look at the tourism sector. The DBJ, Exim Bank, provided a line of fund for 2%, 2 to 3%, mm-hmm, for the development of the tourism sector. $1 billion. Within a short period of time, it was gone. And then the minister re-engage in the Ministry of Finance, and there was another $1 billion. So I'm saying that to develop small businesses, we have to identify a pool of funds. We have to indicate, I know the Minister of Industry and Commerce, is doing all of these road shows and is doing all of these promotions and, carry teams overseas, etc. But a lot of time, a lot of the funding for that has to come out of the small businesses, right? And they have not generated sufficient and adequate resources to finance those operations. So I'm saying that we need a developmental fund where the small businesses can tap into some component of grant. Right? We know also there are a lot of grant funding around, but you need somebody to write the project. So that is also a part of the support and the framework that is required to really drive growth and to build capacity for small businesses.
Okay. So what is your view for the small business sector in the next 5 years?
Well, let me start by saying with the Small Business Association celebrating our 50th anniversary, we're going to be having a banquet where we are going to be recognizing the players, the members of the Small Business Association and the wider sector on November 25 at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. Tickets will be $20,000. But for the members of the small businesses, there will be a discount. I make that point because as we celebrate 50 years, we want to partner with the members of the Small Business Association, with the government, with NGO, to drive growth and development over the next 5 to 10 years. A part of this must be the identification of a developmental framework for funding small business. In terms of building capacity, we speak about a one-stop shop rather than several different governmental agencies to form, to do returns, in terms of GCT, income tax, etc. We need to find, an adequate vehicle that can provide a one-stop shop for small businesses. And I think that if we get that kind of support, I see where the small businesses within the Jamaican economy will become one of the fundamental drivers of economic growth for the Jamaican economy.
Thank you, Senator Grant.
You're most welcome, Denise. It's great to be with you today to really share some of my views about the development of the small business sector in Jamaica.
All right. My name is Denise Williams, and we have been chatting with first Vice President of the Small Business Association of Jamaica, Senator Norman Grant. He shared his views, and really and truly, it's some really good views. We're looking at a one-stop shop for the regulatory environment, tax office, companies office, the Data Protection Act. Oh, so many regulators were saying for small business, one-stop shop, yes?
Absolutely.
All right, and we talked about a developmental fund very similar to that of the Tourism Ministry and of the Agriculture Ministry, yes?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, and so in this episode, a lot of nuggets that will give the small businesses push for the next 5 years. And so if you're thinking about getting your finances together for your small business, check out my website, www.financiallyfocusedmedia.com.